6 years of marriage to Melissa had been the happiest time of my life until these past few weeks. I came home late from work on Tuesday to find her with packed suitcases in our living room. The words she spoke cut through me like a knife. She accused me of having an affair with her younger sister, Natalie. Before I could even process what was happening, she blocked my number left for her parents' house and refused to speak to me. I had absolutely no idea what evidence she thought she had. Before I start this painful story, drop a like, hit subscribe, and let me know where you are watching from. I need all the support I can get right now. My life with Melissa began 7 years ago at my college friend's wedding. I was 32, and she was 30 when we first locked eyes across the reception hall. Something about her smile captivated me immediately. We talked all night, exchanged numbers, and were inseparable from that moment forward. After a year of dating, I proposed during a sunset hike at her favorite national park. The joy on her face when she said yes remains one of my most treasured memories. Our marriage had been everything I could have hoped for. We bought our first home together 3 years ago, a charming 3-bedroom house with a yard just big enough for the golden retriever we adopted. We supported each other through career milestones. My work as an architectural engineer often involved long hours, but Melissa always understood. Her own career as a marketing executive was equally demanding, and we took pride in each other's accomplishments. One of the best parts of marrying Melissa was becoming part of her close-knit family. Her parents, Robert and Susan, welcomed me from the start, inviting me to family gatherings and treating me like their own son. Sunday dinners at their house became a cherished tradition. Our relationship with them was solid and supportive, something I was especially grateful for since my own parents lived across the country. Then there was Natalie, Melissa's younger sister. At 24, she was finishing her master's degree when she moved to our city 8 months ago. Natalie was intelligent, ambitious, and shared many personality traits with Melissa, though they looked quite different. While Melissa had dark brown hair and blue eyes, Natalie was blonde with hazel eyes. They shared the same laugh, though, and similar mannerisms that revealed their sisterly bond. When Natalie first arrived, I helped her get settled into her new apartment, mounting shelves, fixing a leaky faucet, and assembling furniture. Melissa had encouraged this, saying how much she appreciated me making her little sister feel welcome. I offered advice about the city-recommended good restaurants in her neighborhood and occasionally helped troubleshoot issues with her car. Our relationship was exactly what you would expect between in-laws, friendly and respectful. The first subtle changes in Melissa's behavior began about 3 months after Natalie moved to town. I noticed Melissa checking my phone when I left it on the counter. She started questioning my late work hours more intensely than before. At first, I thought she was just stressed about a big project at her company. During family gatherings, I began to notice tension whenever Natalie was present. Melissa would stick unusually close to my side, monitoring our interactions. One evening, we hosted dinner at our house. Natalie asked my opinion about a rental dispute with her landlord, a straightforward legal question. As I offered some suggestions, I noticed Melissa growing visibly upset, her posture stiffening, her responses becoming clipped. After everyone left, I tried to discuss it with her. "Is everything okay between you and Natalie?" I asked gently. "Everything is fine," she responded dismissively. "I am just tired from hosting." I accepted her explanation, though something felt off. The following week, I had to travel for a 3-day conference in Chicago. During the second day, Natalie called me in a panic about a major plumbing issue in her apartment. Water was leaking through her ceiling from the unit above. I talked her through contacting emergency maintenance and documenting the damage for insurance purposes. The call lasted maybe 15 minutes. Purely practical advice anyone would give. When I returned home, Melissa was cold and distant. That evening, I caught her scrolling through my call history. She said nothing about what she found, but her behavior grew increasingly suspicious and withdrawn. I tried several times to get her to open up about what was bothering her, but she insisted nothing was wrong despite the obvious tension between us. The day that changed everything started like many others. I was working late on an important project deadline, texting Melissa that I would be home around 8. Around 6:30, I received a text from Natalie. "Thanks again for your advice about the security deposit situation. The landlord agreed to my terms." I responded with a quick, "That is great news. Happy to help. Nothing inappropriate, nothing unusual." When I finally arrived home, exhausted, but pleased to have completed my work, I found Melissa in our bedroom, with 2 suitcases packed. Her face was streaked with tears, but her expression was hard determined. "I know about you and Natalie," she said, her voice shaking with anger. "How long has it been going on? How could you do this to me? With my sister of all people." I stood frozen in the doorway, completely blindsided. "What are you talking about? There is nothing going on between me and Natalie." "Stop lying," she shouted, throwing her phone at the bed. "I have seen the texts, the phone calls. Mrs. Wilson next door told me she saw Natalie coming to our house when I was away on my business trip last month." I tried desperately to explain. Yes, Natalie had stopped by to borrow our ladder for her apartment, something Melissa had known about. The texts were entirely innocent, offering advice and family support. The calls were few and brief, usually about practical matters. "Melissa, please," I pleaded. "This is a terrible misunderstanding. I love you. I would never betray you, especially not with your sister." She simply shook her head, picked up her bags, and pushed past me. "I am going to my parents. Do not call me. Do not text me. I need space to figure out what to do next." Before I could say another word, she was gone. I immediately tried calling her, but discovered she had already blocked my number. I tried her parents next, but Robert answered briefly to say Melissa needed time and I should respect that. When I called Natalie to explain what had happened, she was shocked and distressed. "Frank, that is insane," she gasped. "Why would she think that we have never been anything but appropriate? I will talk to her right away." Later that evening, Natalie called back in tears. She will not speak to me either. She told our parents I betrayed her, and they should not let me visit while she is there. "Frank, what is happening?" The following days were a nightmare of sleepless nights, inability to focus at work, and rapid weight loss. My boss, Jack, called me into his office after I made several uncharacteristic mistakes on a blueprint. "Frank, whatever is going on in your personal life is affecting your work," he said kindly. "Take a few days off. Get your head straight. The projects will still be here." I took his advice and used the time to strategize with my friend Derek, who suggested I give Melissa space while gathering information about what might have led to her beliefs. "Something triggered this," Derek reasoned. "Find out what evidence she thinks she has." An unexpected and painful encounter occurred at the grocery store, where I ran into 2 of Melissa's friends from her yoga class. They gave me cold stares, and I overheard one whisper, "That is him, the cheater." The rumors were spreading, and my reputation was being destroyed by a fiction. After 2 weeks of silence, I reached a breaking point and went to Melissa's workplace hoping for just 5 minutes of her time. Her assistant blocked me at reception, saying Melissa did not wish to speak to me and would file a harassment complaint if I persisted. Humiliated and desperate, I left a handwritten letter instead, begging for a conversation. Another week passed with no response. Our friends began taking sides, with most assuming I was guilty since Melissa seemed so certain. I lost 5 more pounds and began seeing a therapist just to cope with the stress and confusion. Finally, after nearly a month of this nightmare, Robert agreed to meet me for coffee. The conversation was tense but revealing. "She truly believes you betrayed her," he said gravely. "I have never seen my daughter so convinced of something. Whatever evidence she has, it persuaded her completely. But there is no evidence," I insisted, "because there is nothing to find evidence of." Robert studied me carefully. "I have known you for 6 years, Frank. You have been a good husband and a good man. But I also know my daughter would not throw away her marriage on a whim. Please, Robert," I said, my voice breaking. Help me understand what she thinks she knows." He sighed heavily. "All I know is that she showed her mother some text messages that seemed very inappropriate and mentioned something about photos. Susan would not show them to me. She said they were too painful." As Robert left, he squeezed my shoulder. "For what it is worth, Natalie has been trying to defend you. She seems as confused by all this as you are." I sat alone in the coffee shop for a long time, turning this new information over in my mind. Text messages, photos. None of it made any sense. Unless someone had fabricated evidence. With this new theory in mind, I began investigating systematically. I reviewed all my text history with Natalie, searching for anything that could be misinterpreted. While I found a few messages that were friendly, there was absolutely nothing romantic or inappropriate. I even printed out the entire message history to show how innocent our communication had been. Next, I contacted our neighbor, Mrs. Wilson, an elderly widow who lived next door. When I asked about what she told Melissa, she looked confused. "I merely mentioned seeing Natalie visit once when Melissa was out of town," she explained. "She borrowed your ladder, stayed for perhaps 15 minutes. That is all I said." Is something wrong? This confirmed my suspicion that innocent information was being twisted. But who would do such a thing? And why I needed more data points. As I reviewed the situation, I realized that Melissa's cousin Heather had been unusually involved since the separation. According to Robert, Heather had been supporting Melissa through this difficult time. This struck me as odd, given that Heather and Melissa had never been particularly close. In fact, their relationship had always been somewhat competitive. I began researching Heather's social media presence and discovered she had been making subtle posts about being there when family falls apart and supporting those betrayed by the ones they love. Nothing named us directly, but the timing aligned perfectly with our situation. My mind flashed back to previous family gatherings where Heather had stirred up trouble. At our wedding, she had made a scene about not being a bridesmaid. During a family reunion, she had spread a rumor that Melissa's brother was having financial problems, causing unnecessary tension. There was a pattern of drama creation that I had never fully recognized before. While I was piecing this together, I received a text from Natalie asking to meet urgently. We arranged to meet at a public cafe near her university. "Frank, I found something you need to see," she said, sliding her phone across the table. On it was a screenshot of what appeared to be a text conversation between us. In this exchange, I supposedly professed romantic feelings for her and suggested meeting secretly. "These are fake," I said immediately. "I never wrote any of this." "I know," Natalie replied. "That is why I wanted to show you. Melissa sent these to me as proof when I kept insisting we were innocent. Someone created these, and I think I know who." Natalie explained that Heather had been the first person Melissa called after finding the supposed evidence. According to mutual friends, Heather had also been the one to suggest Melissa check my phone and computer in the first place, planting seeds of suspicion. "And here is something else," Natalie added. "Heather's boyfriend Kyle works in IT. He would definitely know how to fake screenshots and messages. This was the breakthrough I needed. I hired Alex, a tech expert, recommended by a colleague, to analyze the screenshots Natalie had received. "These are definitely doctored," Alex confirmed after examination. "Look at the pixel inconsistencies around the text bubbles, and the timestamps do not align with the server patterns. I can prepare a technical report proving these are fabrications." With this professional assessment, I had concrete evidence of tampering, but I still needed to understand the motivation. Why would Heather go to such lengths to destroy my marriage? During a rare phone call with Susan, Melissa's mother, I cautiously brought up the topic of Heather. "How well do you know Heather?" I asked. "Has she always been close to Melissa?" Susan sighed. "Those two have a complicated relationship. Heather has always been jealous of Melissa, ever since they were children. When Melissa got married before her, despite being younger, Heather was beside herself, though she hid it well. Did you know they work for competing companies now? I probed. Yes, and Melissa just received a major promotion last month, Susan replied. A position Heather had applied for as well, from what I understand. This was the missing piece. Heather had a powerful motive: jealousy of Melissa's successful marriage and career. The promotion rejection must have been the final straw that triggered her elaborate plan for revenge. By destroying Melissa's marriage, she could damage the perfect life she envied. With all this evidence in hand, I developed a plan to expose the truth and clear my name. I called Robert and requested a family meeting at their house, asking if he could ensure Melissa would be present. I did not tell him my suspicions about Heather, fearing he might inadvertently alert her. I have important information about the situation, I said simply. Information that changes everything. Robert, seeing my determination, agreed to arrange the meeting for Sunday afternoon. The atmosphere in Robert and Susan's living room that Sunday was thick with tension. Melissa sat stiffly on the couch, refusing to meet my eyes. Her parents sat on either side of her, their expressions guarded but curious. I had set up a laptop and projector to present my findings. Thank you for agreeing to hear me out, I began steadily. For weeks, I have been accused of something I did not do without the opportunity to defend myself. Today, I want to present evidence that not only proves my innocence, but reveals what actually happened. I methodically walked them through everything I had discovered. The neighbor's actual statement, the timing discrepancies, the technical analysis of the fake text messages. As I presented, I could see Susan's expression shifting from skepticism to concern. These messages that allegedly show inappropriate communication between Natalie and me are forgeries, I explained, showing Alex's technical report. They were created using specialized software that manipulates digital content. Whoever did this wanted to destroy our marriage. Just as I was about to reveal my suspicions about Heather, the doorbell rang. Susan went to answer it, returning with a visibly agitated Heather. I stopped by to check on Melissa. Heather said, her eyes narrowing when she saw me. Then she noticed the presentation on the screen. What is going on here? I was just explaining how someone manufactured false evidence against me, I replied calmly. Someone with technical skills or access to someone with those skills. Heather's face paled slightly, but she recovered quickly. Are you accusing someone specific? Yes, I said, looking her directly in the eyes. I believe you created these fake messages, Heather. With help from Kyle, perhaps. The room fell silent. Melissa looked between us, confusion evident on her face. That is ridiculous, Heather scoffed. Why would I do such a thing? Because you have always been jealous of Melissa, I said simply. Her marriage, her career success, especially the promotion you were both up for last month. This was your way of taking something precious from her. Heather's face contorted with anger. You cannot prove anything. But I was prepared. Actually, I can. Alex traced the digital fingerprints on these forgeries. They lead back to software licensed to Kyle's company, accessed on your home IP address. This was partly a bluff, as Alex had only confirmed the messages were fake, not their exact origin. But the specificity of my claim hit home. Heather's composure cracked completely. She always gets everything, she suddenly shouted. The perfect husband, the perfect job, the perfect life. What about me? I deserved that promotion. I deserved to be happy too. The outburst confirmed everything. As Heather continued her tirade, admitting to planting seeds of doubt and creating the false evidence, Melissa's expression transformed from confusion to shock to rage. You deliberately destroyed my marriage, Melissa whispered, her voice shaking. Because of a job promotion. Because you were jealous. Heather's explanation tumbled out amid tears and accusations. Her resentment had built for years. The final trigger had been the promotion, but her jealousy of our marriage had festered since our wedding day. She had manipulated events, twisted innocent interactions, and finally created false evidence to convince Melissa I was unfaithful. After Heather's dramatic exit and promises of family consequences, Melissa and I were left alone on her parents' porch. The silence between us stretched uncomfortably. "I do not even know what to say," she finally murmured. "How could I have believed her over you?" My relief at being vindicated was tempered by hurt. "You were willing to believe the worst about me without even giving me a chance to explain." Tears filled her eyes. I saw what looked like absolute proof. The messages seemed so real. And then Heather kept reinforcing my suspicions, pointing out things I had never noticed before, like how much time you spent helping Natalie. We talked for hours that night, beginning the difficult process of rebuilding what had been broken. The path forward would not be easy. Trust once shattered does not simply reassemble itself, even when the breaking was based on lies. We agreed to start couples therapy the following week. Melissa took full responsibility for believing the accusations without proper investigation, for shutting me out rather than confronting me directly. I acknowledged that I needed to be more transparent and aware of how certain actions might appear to others, innocent as they were. The family dynamics required healing too. Melissa and Natalie had a tearful reconciliation, their sisterly bond stressed but unbroken. Heather was excluded from family gatherings indefinitely, her betrayal too significant to quickly forgive. Her parents established firm boundaries while leaving the door open for eventual reconciliation if genuine remorse was demonstrated. 6 months after that terrible accusation, Melissa and I found ourselves in a stronger place than before. The crisis had forced us to develop better communication skills to discuss jealousies and insecurities openly, rather than letting them fester. We established clearer boundaries with extended family and learned to approach problems as a united team. The experience taught me powerful lessons about trust. It requires constant vigilance, not against potential betrayal, but against allowing external influences to poison what is healthy. I learned how devastating jealousy can be, not just to its target, but to everyone in its radius. Most importantly, I recognized the value of giving those you love the benefit of doubt, something I hope Melissa learned as well. Looking back from where we stand now, I can see how this painful chapter ultimately strengthened our commitment to each other. The foundation of our relationship is more solid for having been tested so severely. We approach each day with renewed appreciation for what we almost lost. Have you ever experienced false accusations or had to rebuild trust in a relationship? I would love to hear your stories and how you handled these difficult situations. Please share your experiences in the comments below. If you found value in my story, please hit the like button, subscribe to hear more real-life experiences, and share this with someone who might be going through something similar. Thank you for listening, and remember that sometimes the darkest moments lead to the greatest growth and the deepest love.